Now, most of you already know that, of course, Sofi Technologies, we've been seeing them in the previous quarters or previous earnings beating analyst expectations. I mean, I see on the screen, you notice that in the previous 5 or even 6 earnings, Sofi Technologies have been managing to beat analyst expectation when they report their earnings in terms of the earnings per share and the revenues which they generated. Now, ladies and gents, just this past week we read wonderful news, or Sofi announced wonderful news of saying that on the 1st of May 2023 they will be announcing their Q1 of 2023 earnings results, which is something that is incredible because we are seeing Sofi Technologies not even taking time or delaying of maybe their earnings, but we are seeing Sofi Technologies wanting to announce their Q1 earnings by the 1st of May 2023, which is something that makes us wonder what might be the reason behind all that, or Sofi not even wasting time to announce their Q1 earnings. But what we saw from the Q4 or from the, of course, looking at the past, especially looking at the Q4 earnings, we saw Sofi Technologies, of course, reporting or thrashing analyst expectations on those earnings. So I don't know, maybe the reason why Sofi once again is, of course, deciding to announce these Q1 earnings earlier is, of course, they know that they did most than what was anticipated of them by analysts, and that is something that obviously, if it is true, of course, it is going to result in the shares of Sofi once again to surge in terms of the share price. Now, one of the things that obviously so many of the people want to actually see on those Q1 earnings, besides of course the actual earnings, that is the total revenues and the earnings per share, and maybe the membership growth, it is of course how much Sofi Technology spend when they acquire Windham Capital Mortgage. As most of you already know that obviously last week or early this week on Monday, we saw Sofi Technologies confirming that indeed they have acquired this mortgage firm, which obviously we know is going to add some good revenues into their overall total revenues. As you know that Wenham Capital is total annual revenue as it stands, it's around or over $170 million, which is something that of course we know that it is going to be good news, that it is going to increase total revenues that Sofi generates each and every quarter. Now, the good thing about these acquisitions that of course we've read is it looks like Sofi, when they acquired this Windham Capital, it was sort of like a cash transaction, or they acquired it with a cash which probably they had, which is something that is incredible because we have seen of course some of the companies maybe diluting their shares in for a reason behind acquiring certain assets or certain companies. But with Sofi, it looks like this acquisition, it was a case sort of like a transaction or sort of like a deal, which is something that obviously excites the Sofi investors because we know that the shares are not going to be diluted because of this acquisition, but rather we are just going to see of course Sofi adding yet more assets into their company, which will result into them generating more revenue. Now, before we forget, I also already know that this video is just an entertainment video and not a professional financial advice video. Now, I really appreciate if you can just hit the likes button if you are enjoying the content that I'm giving you about Sofi Technologies, as to what is it that we can expect, or what is it that Sofi announced, of course, especially looking at of course the upcoming Q1 of 2023 earnings, and what is it that of course some of the things that are transpiring in relation to their recent of course acquisition of Windham Capital, which of course we know and we've discussed on this channel. So if you are enjoying this content, I really appreciate if you can just hit the likes button, as it also helps with YouTube's algorithm. Otherwise, if you have not subscribed, I'll also appreciate if you can just hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content, because Sofi is one of the stocks that we discuss a lot on this channel, because it is a stock which I believe that its fundamentals, its future prospects is going to be the one to propel it and make it to flourish in the future. So if you are to subscribe, just know that Sofi Technologies, if it is one of your favorite stock, it is a stock that we discuss a lot also on this channel, together with some of or most of the stocks. So yes, without wasting any more of your time, you know that Sofi Technologies, as I've said, they will be announcing their Q1 of 2023 Q3 earnings, and boy, I must say, so many of the Sofi investors can't wait to see the kind of results that Sofi will report, because most of you already know that in the previous, like I said, 6 quarters or 5 quarters, Sofi Technisys has been beating analyst expectations, which is something that is incredible. And when we look specifically to the Q4, after Sofi reported their Q4 earnings, we saw even the share price of Sofi going as high as, of course, over $8 per share, which resulted in so many of the Sofi investors with a low average price sitting with good gains or good profits, which is something that was obviously amazing to watch. So on the 1st of May 2023, we could see the same thing happening. I don't take that away, because Sofi continues to do very well regardless of the banking crisis that we are seeing in America or in the US. Sofi Technologies continues to flourish, which is something that makes me to want to think that Sofi Technologies might again do well and beat analyst expectations in terms of the total revenues they generate and the earnings per share. Now in the Q4, you remember that Sofi announced that they will become a profitable company, or in Q4 they will report a positive earnings, which is something that is incredible, because it will be the very first time we are seeing Sofi Technologies reporting profitability into their earnings, which will be something that will be amazing and has to be the one to motivate you to remain bullish here, stay long, and look forward to Sofi's Q4 earnings, because we know that they would have reached profitability. Now Sofi Technologies, ladies and gents, as seen on the screen, analysts in the upcoming Q1 earnings, they are expecting Sofi to report total revenues of around 441.9 million USD of revenues, and also an earnings per share of around 8 cents. So that's what analysts are expecting when we look into Sofi going into this, of course, Q1 earnings. But of course, one of the things that probably might, I don't know, might have maybe some minor impacts into the earnings, of course, if indeed they acquired this, of course, Windham Capital. I don't know how maybe it might have an impact into Sofi's Q1 earnings. But one thing for sure is that I think you'll remember when, of course, Sofi Technologies acquired Galilio, which of course had an impact in the earnings that of course followed that acquisition, which is something that obviously we read that, or Sofi indeed said that one of the reasons why they were sort of like reporting not as good revenue or as per what analysts expected was because of that acquisition. So this Windham Capital acquisition, one of the things that of course I would really like to see is how it has an impact on to Sofi's earnings. As like I said, Galilio, when they acquired Galileo, it had some minor impact in their Sofi's earnings. But one thing to note also is that when they acquired, I think, Technisys, which is the acquisition which they made before this one, we didn't see any harm to the earnings. So yes, I hope to see the same thing happening to Windham Capital, or I hope to see maybe this acquisition not maybe having an impact into Sofi's earnings or Q1 earnings. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I'd just give you this quick update as to what is it that we saw from, of course, Sofi this week. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least to get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, Sofi Technologies remains that stock that we discuss a lot, because I believe that this is a stock which is just set to do very well. Sofi Technologies, in the next couple of quarters, 2 or 3 quarters, we will be seeing Sofi, of course, becoming a profitable company, which is something that, of course, those that are investing into Sofi Technologies cannot wait to see this happening, including myself, because this is a company that, I mean, I must say, regardless of what is happening in the banking sector, it continues to do very well, which is why I believe that this is a stock that one way or the other, it is just set to do very well. It will do very well, and the share price will head back towards the double digits, as we know. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in the stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.